Okay, so today we're going to be ranking all of the JoJo's Bizarre Adventures parts, and first and foremost, we're going to start with part 1, Phantom Blood, and it's going straight into S tier. It's where it all began. It's the spark that would birth this much beloved series. You know, it's just a classic. It just shows those classic rival scenarios between Jonathan and Dio, you know, and it's probably the best Dio scenes that we've ever had in the series. Not to mention that we also get the much beloved duo of Zeppelin and Speedwagon, the absolute homies that follow Jonathan on his journey, and the fact that Phantom Blood is such a short part, yet people remember it so fondly, it speaks volumes, really. You know, and the manga as well just has this absolutely beautiful classic sort of art style reminiscent of like Fist of the North Star. Absolutely jacked up dudes, the aesthetic, people love that. People miss Hamon and they miss jacked up JoJo's, and Phantom Blood is full of it. And part 2 now, going straight into S tier. Joseph is probably my personal favourite JoJo, like main JoJo. The dude is hilarious, and his fighting style, I just love how big brain it is. I love that all of it is calculated. It's like watching Sherlock Holmes, like the Robbie Downey Jr. films or something like that. Everything is just explained why he does it, and it's just big brain. You know, it's a really overlooked part in my opinion, but to me it's the most developed we've ever seen Hamon. Obviously, after this point, Hamon stopped being a thing, but it just expanded so much on Phantom Blood's version of Hamon. You know, with a damn training arc, you know, most shonen, most like top tier shonen have some sort of training arc. Battle Tendency has that. You know, not to mention the Pillar Men who be turning straight men gay men gayer, let's be honest here. And also being the second shortest part, it has some of the most character development in any of JoJo. I mean, Joseph goes from this being quite a full of himself sort of brash, he still is by the end, but I mean, his adventures with his homie Caesar and just the tragedy that happened there and his training with Lisa, there is so much packed into such little from start to finish, non-stop, just absolutely amazing. Part 3 now, going straight into S tier. It has this great timeless formula of like a monster of the week or stand of the week, as it's referred to in this sort of thing. You know, things, every classic show that you grew up watching had this sort of formula. And there's a reason, because it works so well. And with the introduction of stands, oh yeah, did I mention part 3 introduced stands? You know, one of the most quintessential integral parts of JoJo now was introduced in part 3. And not only is it influential for introducing stands, but part 3, I'm sure most of you agree, is the part that brought in such a huge fan base for JoJo with the meme culture and all that. It brought in so much for the series, and it really skyrocketed to the sort of, you know, hype we see it now. And let's not forget, part 3 has one of, it's probably joint up there with part 5 in my opinion, the best group of characters we ever had. The absolute boys' journey, traveling all the way to Egypt to find Dio, stand after stand, just dudes hanging out. It's just such a feel-good adventure. We just, you know, it's timeless. It's just, it works so well. And like I said, the introduction of stands, the variety of stands we get in this, obviously because it's like a stand of the week sort of formula, we see a hell of a lot of stands. And there's not many that I dislike. I have done a tier maker of the stands from part 3 before, and most of part 3 stands are some of my favourites. Part 4 now, and my personal favourite parts, it's going in S tier. I just love this sort of shift in genre for JoJo, where it's going into more of a slice of life sort of suburban setting of Morio. It just works so damn well for JoJo in my opinion. The story, it's like a weird mix of like a sitcom and a murder mystery, as well as some supernatural elements just going on in there. You know, it's wacky enough and bizarre enough. Did you see what I did there? For JoJo to pull it off, and it just does it with flying colours. Also, Yoshikage Kira is way up there in the S tier of anime. Not just JoJo, anime, villains, antagonists, whatever you want to refer to him as, of all time. He's just that good. It's almost like if you took David Bowie and you took Patrick Bateman and they had a child, Yoshikage Kira would be the product of that. It's just, the part is outstanding. I love the shift in genre, it works for me. I also love that Araki just did a self-insert of himself as well. Part 5 now, it's going straight up there. It's evident for decades now that people love gangsters in media. I mean, look at things like The Godfather, Goodfellas, The Irishman, and video games like the Mafia franchise. Well, Araki was like, I like Italy, and people love mob, so boom, part 5. You know, I love Mario, but damn, it's Italy. It's Italy, for God's sake. It's hard to beat a setting of things like Naples, Venice, Sardinia, Rome, and we visit all of these in part 5, you know, and I feel like part 5 was also a massively influential part of JoJo for bringing in a new fan base, and it also developed JoJo fans. It made them into these cultured, dripped out, high-end fashion fan base. It made them more than just, we like punching shit, which we still do, but it made us more classy. You know, the mix of fashion, music references in part 5, to me, it's like part 5 is the most Araki part that there is. I feel like it's like all-encompassing of his passions. And as I mentioned before, the group we have here is just, they're up there with the Stardust Crusaders, in my opinion. I think Giorno and the boys they're such a likeable group. And for part 6, also going up there, now we've always had strong female characters in JoJo. I mean, look at Lisa, look at Trish. But part 6 really turns that dial up to 100 and gives us our first female lead in Jolene. And damn, does she kick ass. It may not be Italy this time instead of dirty ass prison in America, but this sort of confined setting is great for us to meet and develop with such a smaller cast of characters. It's more interpersonal than what previous parts have been. You know, and to give credit to part 6, it really does feel like a grand finale for this long-running blood feud between Dio and the Joestar bloodline. You know, and that insane conclusion that just flips the entire JoJo series on its head, it just places part 6 right up there. Part 7 now, it just feels so fresh in my opinion. It's just this nice, brand new, completely unrelated story to the rest of the JoJo. And like I said, part 5 just took the popularity of gangsters, cultures. Well, guess what? People like the Wild West and cowboys even more than gangsters. So Araki was like, I'm making part 7 about cowboys. And damn, did he knock this setting out of the park. You'd think after 6 completed parts now that Araki would start running out of ideas for bizarre adventures for the Joestars to go on. I mean, we've had serial killers, homoerotic vampires, and ancient gods essentially trying to overthrow humanity. No, Steel Ball Run was like, hold my juice. How about cowboys, a cross-country horse race, and somehow turn that into a dark cover-up involving the President of the United States and Jesus Christ himself, and then make this jumble of setting and random importing historical characters into some of the most peak fiction the world has ever seen. It's S tier. And finally, part 8 is also right up there. I'm fully aware JoJo is Araki's most recent part, and naturally over time, Araki's art would get better and more developed, but goddamn, is JoJo artistically one of the best manga I've ever laid my eyes on. What I love about part 8 is it takes the setting and the characters of part 4, which I love anyway, but completely alters them, and it's incredibly interesting seeing this alternate version of Morio, and I believe that's what makes JoJo so great. To me at least, it's almost like a love letter to the whole series and what have come before it. Basically, all of JoJo, from its setting to its character, references characters and settings from previous parts. Also, if you love bizarre, well, how do I say this, but part 8 is the most bizarre part ever, and I mean, by some margin as well. It is completely off the wall insane at times. It's really out there. So yeah, there we go. Obviously, you saw what I did at the end. It's all ended up in S tier, but I really do love the series. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I'll see everyone next time.